So, these events that I thought I had already done, I had literally marked these off, and apparently I have not uploaded my video on, or finished, as you can tell, Boss 1, 2, or 3. This is going to be a bit of a tough one for me to talk about because of my team. Remember that eyes I told you not to summon on? Well, I got lucky on her banner. I did pull her initially, and I gave her one of my free Prism Bonds. So she is now +2. Now, if you do not have her, I feel confident that with the team that I'm going to build today, you should easily be able to take this down, even if you don't have eyes. Now, I'll explain why I use her, and I'll explain the team that I'm building here, and why this team is the way it is. But first, I've got to make one small revision. So, to go back out here, to get your S clear, there's a couple ways you could do this. Now, complete the quest, obviously, without losing any member and within 9 turns. Now, the way that I initially had set out to do this, before I had come up with this team build that I've got now, is I was going to do without losing any member, unlike, a 12 or 13 turn run, and then with 9 turns with the team that I had built. And all by using Lily's SA early on. But the thing is, because if you don't know, Lily's SA basically gives you wind resistance, physical, and magic resistance, all the above, down 50%. But the reality is, if you have eyes or if you have anyone like eyes, Eyes already does a bunch of debuffing here. She has physical resist down 35% and wind resist down 35%. So both of those. Now, the honest answer here is you don't need eyes for this. I used her out of basically convenience of being the new unit and to be able to build the team that I wanted to build here. And basically by using Lily and outfitting her with... Come on. There you go. Outfitting her with the warrior princess's earring. Basically, I was able to get an early SA, kind of sack her off, and then do another run with her later on where we just swapped her out. The thing is, when I did that run later on to swap her out, we didn't run 12, 13, 14, 15 turns like I had thought. I actually ran her 9 turns, and I'm going to show you that run today. Now, to be fair here, if you've got, and once again, as you guys know, when I try to build these, I try to build these with as few maximum broken units as possible. Now, I do still stand by Minnow as a maximum broken unit. Remember, I told you guys, on these time-limited units, you want to try to go after these units. They're very, 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 or any of the collab units, they stay relevant a decent amount of time. So we've had some fall off, but these units are designed to drop now, and so I do think they're going to be relevant at least through the beginning of next year. At least for the next 6, maybe 9 months, they should at least be within the realm of relevance for the win team. So I do feel like Maximum Broken, she's a good asset for this team, but we're not using her SA, not even once. Now, you might be able to, but I chose not to, and I'll show you the run that I did here and why that is. Now, Eyes, unfortunately, her banner is gone. I meant to drop this when her banner was live, and my deepest apologies, guys. I'd actually said I did, and I hadn't. So I'd written down that I did, and I hadn't yet. So, her banner is gone. So if you don't have her, and you've got some Maximum Broken, like you've got Finn or someone like that, you could definitely use that unit. But let me go ahead and show you the run, but I'm going to do this one little change here real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Lily, and I'm going to change her equip. Now I'm going to take off the War Princess Ear Cuff. The War Princess Ear Cuff got her HP down to 90%, and that was literally just designed to kill her off. So I'm going to go ahead and give her a little Ballista. Okay, equip that. And I'm going to go over here to armor, and I'm going to go ahead and give her one of my spare swap anklets. Can't use that one. I can use... we'll use the one on Winnie. Here we go. We got a physical one on Ray. I don't need that one because that was a failed attempted run. So we're going to use the revolving amulet. And that basically means that at the end of turn 2, she's going to do one thing and she's going to leave. Now, I know a lot of people are probably screaming at the screen, hey, use her SA, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, we're not going to need to, because both Raul and Eyes, with their SAs, are powerful enough. And this is why I say you don't necessarily need Eyes, but if you have her, you're in for a heck of a run. So, I do not have a skill flow set for this. I probably should have, but I have not. So we're going to do this manually. So I'm going to come out of the gate with Raul and skill 1. Now, as I always say in these runs, It's not necessarily about emulating the exact team that I built. If you can, stellar, you're in for a treat. If you cannot, because I know a lot of people probably do not have eyes, I don't blame you. I wasn't planning on pulling her, but I was one and done under banner, and I was pretty happy with getting her. If you do not have eyes, any Maxima Broken Wind unit should be able to kind of fill the void in where she is. Now, you might have to do a little finagling, but pay more attention to the techniques and tactics that I'm using, less the units, okay? So I'm going to explain the tactics and techniques, and this is going to be probably the most critical part of this, all right? So Raul's going to come out of the gate, and he gives himself a big buff, and he does extra actions. That's just to get a lot of damage out there. The main reason I'm using Raul is for his SA. His SA is really good, so that is the number one reason that I'm using Raul, okay? There are 4 or 5 reasons why I'm using eyes. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see too many reasons to use her past this event. So if you don't have her, find ways to do what I'm going to be doing with her in other realms of the gameplay, okay? In fact, if I did not have her, I'd probably be sacking one of my other win units and keeping Lily on board all the time. But nevertheless, because my Lily is max limit broken. But nevertheless, we're going to come out of the gate with her skill 1. Her skill 1 gives her a big buff, but also does, as I said before, physical resistance down 35%. That's the most important thing she's doing on turn 1. Okay, we're then going to sack. That means I've got the swap anklet on Aphrodite here. Aphrodite is going to go ahead and do all target units plus 35%. That's the most important thing she's doing. Once she's done with that, she's going to leave, and Minot is basically just going to do her big buff, and that gives her 3 extra actions as well. So that's turn 1. Basically, everybody does skill 1 on turn 1. But the main thing is you have to understand we are getting a wind debuff out here. Now, here's the downside to all this. They're going to go ahead and buff their wind or their strength and their magic and their earth attribute damage. They've got big buffs here. And my eyes, who's sitting there with +2, is going to get decimated if I don't do something defensively. So I really need to make sure that eyes and Raul, for lack of it, because if you notice, Raul's +4, but I don't have any heroes in. I've got 3-star hero ascension in them. I've not put any hero lights in them. So both those units are in a bit of a bind here. They will get clobbered within a couple of turns without some healing, without something going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Lily in, and I'm going to do her skill 1. That's going to give everybody physical and magic resistance 40%. Now, I could also debuff strength and magic, but I find personally that the strength and magic buff tends to work a little bit better. I don't really know if that's a thing, but it seems to work better. Initially, and the reason that I was using the ear cuff on her is because I was going to do both, because Eyes was so low level. I was trying to do her with 3-star ascension, and it never quite worked out. I needed full 6-star ascension on her just to get the damage that we're going to get here. You'll see when we get to the end. There's just no way I was going to be able to pull it off with 3-star ascension, or at least within the realm I was working on at the time. So Lily's going to do this big defensive buff. Now, Lily's not the only unit that does this, but here's the deal. If you have Lily max limit broken, and you, let's say for the sake of argument, don't have eyes, but you have somebody that can do physical resistance debuffing or something like that, and you've got all these units that are low level, like I've got, then she's a great asset for this team. She does a lot. For this team, she's just basically built for this. She does physical and magic resistance plus 40%. She has strength and magic down 40%. And she also does, she gets rid of strength and magic buffs here with this hit. And she will get a buff for each strength and magic buff as well. So she's really made for this. But I pulled her off the team to try to use units that were lower level, because I know a lot of you guys don't have the maximum broken units, and you want to see this S clear done with units that are, +2, +3, +4. And Eyes is +2, so that's the main thing with her. Her skill 1, that big defensive buff, and that's really less for Minot, but more for Eyes and Raul. Eyes and Raul are going to move on to their skill 2. With Raul, it's just his big attack. With Eyes, that's then going to give us wind resistance down 35%, and that's her extra action attack. Now, we're going to spam this attack. Skill 2 is going to become our main spammed attack. All right, so for her, that is a high attack, where the other one's just a fast buff. So this is really her only real attack, aside from her single target, which is good, but I'm going to stick basically from this point on with Eyes spamming skill 2. Okay, so physical resistance is down. Now we're going to lower wind resistance. And I know you're going to be asking me, but how are you going to be, like Haruhime replicates debuffs and buffs? Well, remember, so long as we have her extra action in play, Mino's, she's action and buff status buffs. Her skill 2 will buff status debuffs by 3 turns. So Mino really is taking care of all that. The only reason I'm bringing Haruhime in is for the healing. That is it. If it wasn't for her healing factor, then I wouldn't need Haruhime one bit. In fact, if you've got HP regen and you've got another damage unit you could throw in here, fantastic. Definitely take advantage of that HP regen. Maybe use that on the assist side, something of that nature. But that is our main build here. So we're going to go and do his main action, her basically spammable action that gives the wind resistance debuff. And I want to emphasize this is 35%. There are 40% wind resistance debuffs out there, so take advantage of your proper debuffs if you've got them. But for me, this is just very convenient. Lily is skill 1, and then she's gone. And then Mino is going to be skill 2, because that's, once again, her main attack skill. Okay? Hopefully now, turns 1 and 2 are game-changing for us. Turns 1 and 2 are really where all the difference is going to be made up. Turns 1 and 2 make everything happen for us. Now, because I sacked those 2 units, because we use the revolving amulet, notice there are no deaths on my team. My team is still free and clear. We have not lost anybody. We've just retired them from battle. Now in comes Haruhime. She's going to do Dawn Wind. Everybody else continues doing their skill 2. And that Dawn Wind is now going to give us the healing that we need. Now, to be fair, for the most part, we don't actually need the healing so much. It's really more for Haruhime herself. Girl, okay, I was about to say, you better counter. I see Haruhime failing to counter. That makes me nervous. Now, turn 4. Remember, Raul is plus 3 actions, so his actions will run out this turn. So we've got to rebuff that, so we're going to do his skill 1. Same with Mino. Her extra actions are going to run out, so we need to do her skill 1 as well. We probably actually don't necessarily need to with Mino, but I'm going to for one big reason. Now, with Haruhime, I'm going to go ahead and use her skill 1. That's going to give us a little bit more healing, a little bit more countering, and those are the 2 main factors involved here. So for my team, I really need those 2 things because my units are so low level. They're, kind of out there in the open. And Haruhime, remember, Haruhime doesn't have that defensive buff that everybody else has. So Haruhime is taking full damage. So I need her counter healing. It is the #1 factor in whether or not we're going to succeed here. So skill 1 with Raul, skill 2 with Eyes. Remember I said we're going to spam that. Skill 1 with Haruhime and skill 1 with Mino. Pretty straightforward at this point. There shouldn't be any questions as to why we're doing things. Everything should be pretty well understood. Okay? Now, turn 5 should change everything. Turn 5 is going to be the turning point in our entire match. This is where we go from a defensive fight to an offensive fight. Ooh, it didn't happen. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Turn 6, not turn 5. Turn 5 is one more. We're just going to go back doing skill 2. My apologies, guys. I jumped the gun. Turn 6 is the offensive fight. Turn 5, we're just going to go back to doing what we were doing here. Now, I'm going to do Dawn Wind one more time just to get the extra heals. After this, I'm just basically going to spam her skill 3. So to get these extra heals out for her are going to be really important on that. But basically, Raul and Mino both go back to skill 2. Remember, I stays skill 2. And my apologies. Yes, I wish I had had a little bit of SA gauge charge there. I thought I did. It was the other runs where I'd actually had some 33% from the beginning. If you have that, great. But I just didn't have a way to build it into this team without losing our major defensive buff. Now, to be fair, there was the possibility that maybe they could have survived, but it's too much of a risk, too much of a gamble. This is a sure thing. There's practically no way, except unless Haruhime just fails to do her counters, that this could fail. So like I said, turn 6 is where we go from defensive to offensive. SA with Raul. And this is why I'm using Raul. Wind attack damage plus 100%. That is so incredibly critical. Now, this is why I like Eyes, but Eyes is not mandatory. I could get roughly the same effect by doing the SA with Haruhime. That's going to give everyone Strength and Magic 120%. But since I can use Haruhime's skill 3 here, and Eyes gets Strength 120%, and everybody on this team, with the exception of Haruhime, is is a physical unit, and all 3 of them are plant killers, then I don't necessarily need to do Haruhime's skill. Plus, with Eyes, if you have her, she does 60% per each target's physical resistance debuff. And since we got physical resistance debuff on both the adventurer side with 35% and the assist side, where is it there? Physical resist down 25%, that's going to become a 120% hit. So that's going to be a big hit and a big buff. Now, everybody else just stays doing attacks. And this is why I say this becomes an offensive fight now. Because we've got defensive buffs in play. Buffs and debuffs are no longer an issue. From this point on, we have 3 more turns, technically 2 more turns, where we really have to worry about what's going on here. So Raoul and Eyes both do their attacks, and now you will begin to watch the health just melt away. Watch all our mushroom folk here and just watch their health begin to rapidly, and I do mean rapidly, deplete. Okay? So now Raoul is going to spam his skill 2. Eyes is going to spam her skill 2, except when we get our next SA gauge charge. We're going to do an SA with her. But Raoul is going to go and do skill 2. Eyes is going to do skill 2. And Mano is going to do skill 2. Whereas Haruhime is going to stick to skill 3. Okay? Now, the reason we're going to do skill 3 is because her healing runs out on turn 9. But by that turn, we don't need the healing anymore. So it's not really a big deal. I think we get our last heal on turn 8. And if we need to heal after turn 9, we failed the run anyway. So it's really not that big of a deal either way. Okay? And notice how much health they're losing. They're absolutely getting blitzed over here. These guys are getting taken out and with a quickness. So as I said, I have an SA gauge charge. Now, everybody else is just going to do their main hit with the exception of Eyes. I'm going to SA with Eyes. Remember I said she gets 60% per target's physical resistance debuff? Now, the physical resistance debuff is down 35% on the adventure side, 25% on the assist side. Yes, I am aware I could have had a 50% down with Lily. It never worked out the way I anticipated. I only got the double SA on turn 9, and with my units as weak as they are, they never quite sealed the deal. Now, if you have Eyes max limit broken and Raoul max limit broken, absolutely you can do this. But mark my words, this is a faster run either way. It doesn't matter how you do it. The extra 15% is not worthwhile. Getting this SA here is totally worthwhile. Now, the one caveat to this, and I'll say this again, since I told you guys not to summon on Eyes, if you do not have Eyes, any max limit broken win unit should be able to make up the difference here, or SA with Minot. But because Eyes is my known good situation, and Eyes is the ideal, that's who I'm going to SA with. And look at that health. Look at that health. I was actually shocked when I did this initial run that they even survived turn 8. If I had even just one more, if Eyes was +3, they probably would have been gone by now. We wouldn't be at turn 9. Look at how little health they even have. They are hanging on by a ragged edge. So now we just take Eyes back to skill 2. Raoul's skill 2. Minot is down to her base level attacks. That is unfortunate, but Minot isn't necessary here. Because just watch Raoul and Eyes just wipe them out. Boom. Come on, Eyes. There we go. Turn 9 finish. Now, once again, I do want to emphasize, I meant to get this video up while the Eyes banner was live. So those of you guys that don't have Eyes, find your best win unit and build something similar. But I want to once again emphasize, my Eyes is only +2. If I can do this, I promise you, you can do it too. Find a max limit broken, more recent win unit. Don't look for win units that are like, 3 and 4 years old. You ain't going to be able to pull this off. Find a recent win unit that is max limit broken. I love the Finn units or anyone like that. Preferably someone with a plant killer. I think Lily, I don't think Lily has plant killer, but she actually produced a lot of damage. No, she's a ghost killer. But she produced a lot of damage here. And then basically instead of doing Eyes' SA, you do Haruhime's SA. And with her defensive buffs, she more than makes up for it. So I really like this build, guys. Go out there, take advantage of these units, wipe them out. Good luck to you. If you have any questions, post them in the comments down below. Once again, like I said, if I can do it, you can too. Good luck, and I'll be back with boss number 2 here, probably not tomorrow, but probably the day after.